welcome to the Damn Good Coffee Podcast. I'm Aiden, and I'm here with Joe.
Hello.
And we just watched the big 2-episode finale of Twin Peaks. That's part 17 and 18. Oh gosh, I don't even know what to say, really.
No.
It was just crazy. It was like, I expected some things to happen, and they did, but I think the majority of things I didn't expect. Subverted expectations, as usual. And I think I was expecting it to have some closure, or more closure than it did. And what we got was not a lot of closure. Do you agree, Joe?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely felt like from episode 17 going into episode 18, if it was going to continue on that route, that we would have gotten it. But yeah. And
in a way, it did continue to be kind of normal for a little bit in part 17. So I guess let's start off with a recap of that. Mm-hmm. We started with Buckhorn, with I nearly said David Lynch, with Gordon Cole and Albert and Tammy. Gordon Cole explaining a few things.
Yep.
So yeah, a little bit of closure, because we know that Judy is actually Jowdy, which it doesn't really give much. But I'm actually going to real quick go to a Reddit post that I read, which I liked, by username Draktsakal. I probably pronounced that wrong. The title was Judy, and the post has some letters and some characters in Chinese. Basically saying that Judy is in Chinese, the meaning is to explain. So the ultimate negative force is explanation. Lynch's life philosophy, and then it says son of a. So maybe we're not supposed to explain. And that's the end of the podcast. We're not going to explain. No, I'm joking. But yeah, it does seem like they resisted explaining a lot of things, or explaining it to the fullest.
Yeah.
But we did get a little bit of explanation. Gordon Cole sort of reminded us that Philip Jeffries does not exist in the normal sense, he says. Which we know because he exists as a teapot kind of thing. He also references Cooper, two birds with one stone. That was Cooper's plan all along, apparently. It was to kill two birds with one stone. I don't know who those birds were. I don't even know what the stone is. I thought I would know at this stage, but I don't. He mentions that Ray was an informant.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, we didn't know that. I always thought Ray was just a bad guy, but he was actually on the good team for the whole time.
Yeah.
Then they get a call from detective. I think he's Detective Headley from the FBI in Las Vegas. Headley has found Dougie, but not really, because Dougie's already gone, and all Headley has found is the empty hospital bed. But Mullins is there, and Mullins says, is that Gordon Cole on the phone? I've got a message for him. The message is that Cooper is headed for the sheriff's department. So Gordon Cole knows where to go. Everything's converging on the sheriff's department. And we go straight there with Chad and the drunk and Naito in jail. And there's just a very long sequence here.
That we've seen many times before.
Oh, right. That's not what I was going to say, but yeah. We did get long scenes of Naito making her weird noises and Chad getting angry and the drunk repeating. Yeah, we've seen that a few times before, and in this episode we got it a few more times. But yeah, pretty much starting from here, there was this huge long sequence where pretty much Dale saved the day. Well, a lot of people saved the day, really. Dale came back, and everyone, it seemed like, was in the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
In our Game of Thrones podcast, I was like sort of hating on Game of Thrones for just like chucking all the main characters into one room at the same time, but Twin Peaks did it as well.
I thought it was really interesting when Doppelkoop, was sitting across from the new Sheriff Truman.
Yeah.
And it feels like that was kind of our, Harry and Cooper back together, but they're not really.
Yeah.
The opposites of each, the versions of each other.
Yeah, very much a theme of this whole season. We're getting returns of things that we wanted, but not in the way we wanted. Yeah, and a lot of that happened in this episode. We'll get to, but one little thing we should mention: the fireman bit.
Yeah.
Mr. C enters. I'm going to say he enters the White Lodge, but he's locked in a cage. So when he enters, I suppose the fireman knew that he didn't have the best intentions.
He had his like firewalls up.
No,
I actually didn't even mean that as a joke.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like as in
sense.
You're evil. You're definitely evil.
Yeah.
You're not allowed in here.
Yep.
And so then he spits him back out of the sheriff's apartment.
Yeah.
Where he's going to get taken care of.
Yeah. So it's almost like Mr. C and Bob, who was inside Mr. C, were like pawns almost in the fireman's like game against Judy. And the fireman manipulates Mr. C and teleports him to the sheriff's department so that the rest of this plot can go down. I still don't even know if Mr. C was good or bad.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he was bad.
Also, it was weird that Major Briggs's head was there at the same time. Do you have any idea why he was there?
No.
the JPEG of his head?
Yeah. So I suppose in the lineage of Briggs now, he was with Bill Hastings. Not sure exactly what was happening before he was with Bill Hastings, but he was with Bill Hastings in the zone, wherever that might have been, probably the Black Lodge or something. And then his head flew off, zoomed past Cooper and said Blue Rose, and then went to the White Lodge and was there for some reason to help. I don't know. Maybe to make sure that, because he knew Cooper, so maybe he could tell the difference between the good and bad Cooper.
Yeah. And
know which one should be in a little cage and which one shouldn't. Yeah. It's pretty strange. There was a quick little scene with Ben Horn. He gets a phone call from the police in Wyoming.
Yeah.
I don't know much about American geography. Probably somewhere nearby, I suppose. And they found Jerry naked. But he's safe. And actually, there was a little little Reddit post by username Denise Bryson. The only closure I received tonight is that Jerry Horn is safe. After 2 hours... it feels good to know that Jerry Horn made it home safe after his big drug trip. But even saying that, there wasn't any closure as to, why he was so high, I suppose.
Yeah.
I guess it was that edible pastry that he ate. It was too strong. And why his foot claimed to not be his foot, we don't know. We'll never know, maybe. We had... Okay, Briggs' floating head. I'm just going through my notes. Mr. C in a cage. Okay, Andy sees Mr. C, and he's like, Dale Cooper, you're back. It's like a happy reunion.
I think we all felt a little tense at that point. It felt, it had that obvious feeling of, is Mr. C going to pull out a gun right now and shoot Andy?
Yeah.
Or kill Andy?
Yeah, it seemed like way. Andy was in danger, for sure. And it was weird that Andy didn't...
immediately remember what the fireman had shown him.
Yeah, he seemed to have forgotten all of that, actually. He knew that there was some important things happening. So maybe it was more like, maybe he didn't remember that stuff, but he had a sort of intuition based on that stuff.
Yeah.
Like he hadn't put the puzzle together.
Yeah.
At all. Lucy sees Mr. C as well, and she recognizes him as Mr. Cooper, as Dale Cooper. Mr. C meets Sheriff Truman. They have a little moment. As Mr. C gets there, Nato is freaking out. Starts sort of like, freaking out and just moving around and making weird noises. The drunk.
Yeah.
The guy in the jail tore off his like bandages on his face. and that was more like body gore, like gross. Yeah, we were cringing at that.
I thought that it felt like something was going to pop out of it. You know what I mean? Like there was going to be some CGI shot where like an orb flies out of his face, but nothing happened. I just kind of forgot. I just kind of forgot about that.
Yeah. Also, another kind of confusing thing, as soon as Chad realized that the drunk was asleep, that was his chance to whip out his secret key and out of his shoe and open the door, the jail cell, and what did he went and grabbed a gun?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, I don't know why he thought that the drunk needed to be asleep for him to do that.
Because everyone else was awake.
Yeah, James and Freddy could have seen him and reacted. I don't know what they were doing. We didn't even get reaction shots from them.
Yeah.
As all this stuff was happening. We had Truman taking a call from Dale. Well, yeah, he was sitting in his office with Mr. C and then got the phone call from Dale, the real Dale, who was saying, yeah, I'm nearly in Twin Peaks. They were just entering the town of Twin Peaks at that moment. A lot of stuff was happening here. I'm sort of just rattling things off, but it was like really fast paced. Like,
yeah, we had Andy come down the stairs because I guess his whatever he was sensing at that point was that I need to get everyone from these cells and bring them upstairs.
Yeah,
and then we had Chad approaching him with the gun, One Punch Man. That was some nice satisfying moment. Did we even see Chad at any point after that? Was that just it?
I think
he just cuffed him and that was the end of Chad.
Yep, Freddy punched the cell door, which knocked Chad out, and then Andy cuffed him to the wall, to the pole, and we didn't see him after that. Maybe we'll see him in season 4. I don't know. Dale enters. And then we have everyone sort of realizing that this isn't the real Coop. Mr. C is not real. And Mr. C realizes that they realize that and nearly pulls a gun out on Sheriff Truman. And Sheriff Truman's hat like flips.
I think it was just like, I don't know what that was meant to be. I think that was just like he was shocked and it kind of flapped on his head, and then it was maybe they kept that shot because it looked interesting. But why? Yeah, why did what made Lucy go and get a gun?
Yeah,
and walk towards them.
Yeah, we didn't actually.
All we saw was Andy run past and say important information or something like that.
Very important. Yeah. Yeah, and Dale talked to Lucy for like a moment on the phone, but I'm assuming all he would have said was, "Can you put me through to Sheriff Truman?" And so I can talk to him. Like nobody ever tells Lucy important information.
Yeah, unless it would have been cool maybe to hear the phone call. Maybe he said, "Lucy, I need you to get a gun."
Yeah,
and kill me right now.
Yeah, I think. But then, if Lucy's level of intelligence, it would have taken a lot of explanation and a lot of convincing to get her to do something like that. So it's all very weird.
And that led on to one of the most crazy composed scenes of anything ever. Yeah.
So pretty much at the same time that Dale arrives at the department, the woodsmen are also arriving and doing their thing where they like touch Mr. C and rub blood all over him. And then the Bob orb comes out, the Borb, and starts floating around. We see, Bob's face in it. And actually, there are a couple of times I thought it might have been 2 faces. Or if it was like, I don't know, if it was just the way they edited it, it like looked like Bob was like that here. Yeah, there was 2 faces inside that orb.
Yeah, it's funny because it's funny that like I would even go on to say that there was good CGI in that scene because it was Lynchianly done. Yeah. But it was cool the way they composited Bob actually moving inside the orb. It looked pretty cool. Yeah,
his face just reacting and especially since he's dead in real life, the actor, and they would have had to just use archive footage to get a performance out of that. And it worked, I think. Yeah. He was flying around the room. Freddy punched him. Yeah. The editing once again reminded us of Sam and Tracy in episode 1,
Yeah.
when the experiment comes out and like messes them up. It seemed like that a little bit when Bob was attacking Freddy. Freddy punches him once, but it doesn't work. It sends him down to hell. Yeah,
Which I thought was cool because it feels like we've seen what Freddy's glove can do to normal people, and Bob is such a powerful entity that it was cool.
Yeah.
Comes back, attacks him again, and then he gives him one final blow, and he disintegrates into little pieces and then floats through the ceiling. Presumably dead.
Yeah, so I guess...
Vanquished, I guess.
I guess if I have one theory about the 2 birds, 1 stone thing, that's one of the birds. Bob is one of the birds, and now he's destroyed. I feel like it's all just getting put together in my head now as we're sitting here. So yeah, Bob is fragmented, smashed to a million pieces, and sent away. I'll get back to the end of that theory later. I'll tell you when. But yeah, it seems like Bob is gone. So that's a positive. I guess.
So then we get Cooper puts the Alcave ring on Doppelkoop's finger, who then disappears, and we see the Alcave ring drop back into the Black Lodge.
Yeah, so Mike has it again. Can give it to somebody else if you want. After all that stuff happens, the Mitchum brothers are there the whole time watching this. And they...
What was that line that Jim Belushi says? That was a classic line.
Yeah, I think it wasn't Jim Belushi. I think it was the other one. Maybe.
Oh, really?
Well, he says one for the grandkids.
Oh,
that was one of them. There was a couple of funny lines that they said.
It was great.
One for the grandkids. Like, that's a story we're going to tell. Everyone's, just sort of reacting like this was the strangest thing they've ever seen.
Yeah.
Dale, once the key that we saw has been, sort of throughout this series making a little journey. Now it's made its way back to Dale. The key to room 315. This is actually when the FBI arrives. After he gets the key,
we get the sad line too. Is that like right at that moment?
Oh, with the key, yeah.
The nail in the coffin, I think.
Yeah, can you give Harry my regards?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, we didn't want to hear that. We wanted to see Harry. And we still had hope after that. I think I had a little bit of hope that maybe we'd see him, but no, spoilers not. The FBI arrives, and then this whole bit after this is just too confusing to even really comprehend.
We'll try to go through it.
At some point, Dale's face is superimposed over this scene.
What was your take on that? It was right when he looked at Nido, who turned into Diane.
Yeah. So I was thinking that that was like Dale from the future or past, looking in on this scene to understand it. So whether, he's time traveled, because we've got time travel in the story now, that can happen. Maybe at another point he time traveled or, traveled interdimensionally to this scene so that he could understand more. Don't know when that happened or why. But yeah, it's almost like he's watching over this scene like a god, like omniscient. He understands. He says the title also in this scene, which was The Future Dictates the Past. This was part of his explanation, I suppose. He was sort of explaining like, friends, we live inside a dream. I guess making the people around him feel a bit more safe, maybe making us feel a bit more safe, as Dale Cooper often does. You just mentioned Nido turns into Diane, and that's that theory confirmed we were talking about last time. Yeah, Nido is Diane. Their names are almost an anagram, and it seems like she was sort of hiding in that body.
Yeah.
And her face melts. Nido's face melts, and you see the red room through her face. And then it turns into Diane, and she has red hair. That's Diane's natural hair color.
Yeah, similar to the Leland hair change.
Yeah, in season 1?
1 or 2.
1 or 2 of the original run, we see, at some point, I'm not sure what the actual cause is, but Leland's hair goes like white. And yeah, this is a theory that I read months ago. I think that, yeah, as soon as we see Diane appeared in that episode the first time, people were already speculating, like, yeah, she's had some kind of spiritual experience which has led to her hair being like stark white, blonde, or like platinum blonde. Diane and Dale kiss as Gordon Cole watches. Yeah, this is more of this kind of weird thing that, like you were saying, David Lynch has brought back his whole gang.
Yeah, he's an A-team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've seen Kyle MacLachlan and Laura Dern perform together in Blue Velvet. They were in this. They were in that. And that was David Lynch. And it's kind of strange to see them back. And it's like his whole career is culminating on this. These moments where it's like his two big stars that he sort of created are now together and kissing.
Yeah.
And yeah, we live inside a dream. And it does feel very, I was saying, it feels too good to be true, these moments. Everything seems okay. And we were saying, like, what the hell's going to happen for the next, like, hour and 20 minutes or so that we've got left of this season?
Yeah.
Because... yeah, everything seems to be wrapping up. Mr. C's dead. Everything's good.
That the whole dreamer theory. Like, I mean, even it's so hard to even talk about it. Like, it's so hard to even know what to say. Anyway, continuing on with what happened in the show.
Okay.
He drops the line, and then he says to the cast. Something along the lines of, like, I really do hope we see each other again or something.
Yeah.
Before they all look a little bit confused, like he's one step ahead maybe.
Yeah.
And then it all starts to swallow up, fade to black. And then
we have, Diane, Coop, and Cole walking through a just, like, pitch black room. And it turns out they're near the boiler room of the Great Northern. He has the key, the 315 key. He says goodbye to them again. He says, I'll see you at the curtain call. And yeah, we mentioned that quickly while we were watching it. Like, the curtain call could mean the bows, like at the end of a theater show. Like, the curtain call, the curtain closes and then opens and then everyone's there and they bow. So it's like, but it doesn't feel like we did see that. In these two episodes, it doesn't feel like we actually saw an ending, like a proper, real, like, this is the end.
And he also said, whatever you do, don't follow me. Don't have to follow me.
Yeah. As he goes
into the room.
The room using the key. And this is sort of like a back door to the convenience store or the Dutchman. He meets Mike in there. Who takes him up the stairs. Oh, actually, before he does that, he says the classic poem, ending in "Fire Walk with Me," sort of bring it full circle again. That poem's been very important throughout the whole series. I feel
we see them walk up the stairs. And we also see the jumping man go down the stairs. Interestingly.
Yeah, and we still don't know really what the jumping man is or what he wants or what he does.
But it feels like he's
maybe let loose.
Out and about, yeah. I don't really know though.
Yeah. There was no reprise of that. They go in. It's the same effect as when Mr. C goes into the convenience store, and they're like superimposed over the forest. So I was like, okay, they're gonna go see Jeffries, and they do. They meet Jeffries, the teapot. He talks to them a bit, says some cryptic lines. We can't go through all of them. There's too many things he says.
Eventually, he gets to the point where he brings out the owl cave symbol, and then we see it morph into an 8 or infinity sign, the same that's on his door. And then is it meant to be like Earth or like a little globe, like whatever the circle is that's in it as it's floating around,
like a little blue sphere on the infinity symbol. And it like moves, so it's almost like, I guess what we could get from that maybe is that time is like infinite and like enclosed, like the whole universe is one, and Jeffries is like pinpointing a point in that oneness.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, the February 23rd, 1989, which is the day Laura Palmer died. So, and then he says, you can go in now. And then, yeah, he travels through time. We have a big flashback to Fire Walk with Me. The scene where Laura jumps on James's bike. We see a quick shot of Leland looking angry. At that point, possessed by Bob, presumably. Yep. And yeah, it actually just pretty much plays out most of this scene.
But now insert Dale Cooper watching from the woods.
Yeah. And actually, yeah, it was pretty cool that we got some of the reactions of Laura that originally didn't make sense, like her looking into the woods and screaming. Yeah. And now it does make sense because Dale Cooper was in there sort of like creepily watching. It does give a little bit better context to this whole scene and why it happened. Yeah. She gives her goodbyes to James. We also get to see Leo. Yeah. So that's the one like shot of Leo. Also, yeah, we see Ronette. We did already see Ronette in the Purple Room way back when. And
Jacques Renault. Yeah. Who we did see in the season as well, playing a relative of a Jacques Renault.
More like doppelganger-y stuff happening.
Yeah, I feel like increasingly the doppelganger repetition infinite loop kind of thing has come into play. Yeah. Especially going through these two episodes. But then we finally see Laura Palmer jump off the bike, James ride off, and that's where we had a pretty big reaction at this moment when we see Laura Palmer in 1989 and Dale Cooper, who's time traveled back. Yeah, they come face to face in the woods. Yeah, and I'm still not certain with what
the casting.
What. Okay, like we didn't go back and rewatch this. We only finished watching the two episodes back to back pretty much immediately and started recording. So we haven't looked too much into it, but couldn't tell if it was if they had Cheryl Lee acting as the younger version of herself and maybe manipulated with CGI
and makeup
and practical effects, or if it was a non-casted actress.
I was pretty certain it was a different actress.
I was thinking the same thing.
Either way, it worked, I guess. Like, it didn't look that different. It wasn't.
No. The effect was there.
It wasn't like the end of Star Wars Rogue One. Have you seen that?
Yeah, that was...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
And for a bit, I was like, oh no, is something like that going to happen? Like, we're going to get a real close-up, and it's like... No, but it didn't. It didn't.
So Cooper leads her through the woods. Yeah. And he says he's going to take her home.
Yeah. Also, one quick line before that, she says, "I saw you in a dream."
Yeah. Yeah.
So she recognizes him from a dream. Who knows what dream we're talking about now because this is, it's all messed up. Yeah. He says, "We're going home." And before she disappears, we get shots from the next day, which is actually from episode 1, like original episode 1. We see Josie, so she gets a return. We see Pete, the same shots from the original. Yeah. He's gone fishing, he tells Catherine. But this time, instead of seeing Laura washed up, wrapped in plastic,
he just goes fishing.
Yeah, well, you actually do see the little piece of plastic with Laura there, but then it disappears and like fizzles away. Yep. And then instead he just goes fishing, and there's a shot that we thought was like a new shot of somebody else fishing. And this is super weird to watch for me because before you arrived, Joe, to watch this finale, I chucked on the original pilot just because I was like, well, we're seeing the final episodes, might as well just like watch a little bit of the pilot. Yeah. And so I literally saw these shots earlier today, the same shots.
That's pretty crazy.
On the same screen, and now I'm seeing them again in a 2017 release of Twin Peaks.
Another funny thing was with the whole dreamer notion.
Yeah.
I told you when I got here that I had a dream last night that episode or part 17 was going to end with Michael on Keene, the real Sheriff Truman, returning to Twin Peaks. And unfortunately, that didn't happen at all. We can confirm, but yeah, just bit of interest there.
I actually did think that was going to happen as well. I was like,
yeah,
there's a reason you had that dream.
Yeah, because I'm the dreamer.
But yeah, we saw those shots happen, and so presumably there's this new tangent universe, Back to the Future talk, where Laura didn't get found dead.
Yeah.
Then we go back to 1989, and they're still walking along through the forest, but then she disappears. Actually, there's a little bit that happens before that in Sarah Palmer's house.
Oh, yes.
She's like wailing and screaming. She grabs the photo of Laura Palmer and smashes it. Don't know what that means, really.
Maybe, you know what I thought is maybe because that's Sarah Palmer in that universe.
Yeah.
She's got the spirit of the experiment or whatever.
Yeah, the mother.
Yeah, you know, inside of her.
Yeah.
And so she's angry because she goes like, "No, Dale Cooper, you can't do this. You can't break this cycle and stuff." You know what I mean? So then as she's stabbing her and stuff. So then she goes, "I'm going to rip her away and put her somewhere else so that this doesn't exist."
So even though those scenes were like 26 or whatever years apart, they were actually connected, and that's like Judy's current incarnation or presence in the universe is in sort of Sarah Palmer. Yeah. So yeah, her way of symbolically smashing that was also like literally destroying Laura Palmer. Yeah. Making her non-existent in that world. Yeah. And so yeah, that was the end of the episode. So Laura Palmer disappears, and then we get this just weird, like, slow sweeping shot
that went back and forwards from like the HD crisp clear shot to kind of warped, weird color grading by the looks of it. That's what it looked like.
And then there was a Julie Cruz performance.
That was cool.
Yeah, but yeah, back to that thing. So yeah, we've got a new universe where instead of Laura Palmer dying, she actually just disappeared. Yeah. So she just went into the forest. Jacques Renault and Leo and Ronette never met up with her. She's just gone. Yeah. And in which case, Dale Cooper would never have been called in through the FBI to investigate because there'd be no, there'd be no real Blue Rosy thing to investigate because she's just disappeared. It's just a missing person. So
that was the end of the episode. Yeah. Yeah. And now looking back on it before we go into part 18. Yeah. And deconstructing it like that, still very surface because, I mean, there's just layers and layers. But it almost feels like in a way now, that kind of could have been the end. You know what I mean? That kind of could have been the end, looking at, Judy wins. You know what I mean? Like and the evil wins and rips Laura Palmer away, and it starts and finishes in the same. And because I saw someone on Reddit, I can't remember who or where. I think it was part of a bigger post, but they said that the part 17 felt like the season finale, and part 18 felt like the epilogue. Yeah, which it kind of did.
Yeah, like that's how it ends, and now we're just getting a little author's note.
Yeah, but let's go into. Yeah. Part 18.
Yeah, which we pretty much watched straight away. We went to like a bathroom break and then just, went straight into it. And it didn't feel like we were supposed to do that because there was the musical number with Julie Cruz in between. And it felt like, this is the end of the episode. Now we wait another week, but it just went straight in.
Especially with the...
Does repetition.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, doesn't happen straight away. The first thing we get is Mr. C sitting in a chair burning. And there's no reason for that. The only link I could make is that, Bob burns. Like, remember how like he gets punched by Freddy and then gets sent to hell for a second and burns. So maybe that's some kind of link to Mr. C, but for some reason he's gone to the Black Lodge. We know that because the Owl Cave ring was put on him.
Yeah.
He went to the Black Lodge, and then now he's just sitting in a chair burning.
Maybe you know when like the tulpas go there and stuff, and their head flies off, and there's burning inside of them. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's just because Doppelkoop is so
Powerful.
Yeah. It's
He doesn't just burn immediately.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of how I look at it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of in a weird way. Then Mr. C is gone, and then Mike has the seed, and creates a new Dale Tulpa using the clump of hair that Dale gave him. Creates a new Dougie, basically.
Yeah.
And we see that get formed. And then we also see Janie E meeting the new Dougie, and he's home. He says home. I don't know if, like, I don't know if this new Tulpa would be like Dale Cooper's Dougie, like Dougie Coop, or would he be like the original Dougie that was created in 1997?
Yeah, I don't know. It's because I mean, when all we got to see of him was when he was created.
Yeah.
What did he say? He said something, and it wasn't just a repetition. He said like, "Whoa."
I think he said, "What's going on?" Or
Yeah,
like that.
And it sounded like Dougie Jones that we first saw with the long shaggy-ish hair and
It could be.
Yeah, but I don't know. We didn't get to see anything.
But anyway, this was actually I predicted this correctly. Janie E gets her own little Dale Cooper, and it's just like Doctor Who, season 3, I think it was, of the new Doctor Who, like the 21st century Doctor Who, when David Tennant's Doctor sort of like splits himself, has a doppelganger of his own, but it's a human version, and he gives like his lady love the human version while he gets to go off and like save the universe and do his Doctor Who things. So it reminded me of that.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. After that, we got a bunch of repeated scenes. The first one was the Dale and Laura. They're in the forest and she disappears. Same scene. That's what we were saying. It was weird that like they just repeat that scene even though like we'd literally seen it 10 minutes earlier. We got a repeat of the scene. So Dale's in the Black Lodge. Mike says, "Is it future or is it past?" Then he takes him to meet the evolution of the arm. This is exactly what we saw earlier in the season.
But this time,
the only difference is the arm says repeats Audrey's line for some reason, and says, "Is it the little girl who lived down the lane? Is it?" I don't know why they'd make that connection. Is Audrey the arm? No.
Yeah, and what and because I mean, at this point, for everyone's seen it.
Yeah.
That we don't get Audrey again.
Oh yeah.
So we get this line about obviously referencing Audrey.
Yeah.
And we don't get anything else with Audrey in it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think you were saying a little bit earlier, like as we were watching it, I think maybe that in part 17 that it could have been. You'll explain this better, so you can correct me. But like that it could have been that Nido could have been either Diane or Nido could have been Audrey.
Yeah, sort of like at the end of season 2 when they had the Miss Twin Peaks contest.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, if Audrey had won that contest, then Windemel would have taken her to the Black Lodge, and Audrey would have played the part of Annie, and Dale Cooper would have gone into the Black Lodge to save Audrey, which would have made more sense sort of in the, in that Audrey has always been a central character and Annie wasn't.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the same here where, Diane hasn't been in every episode of Twin Peaks or whatever. But she ends up sort of being the one that he follows and ends up with, while Audrey gets nothing.
Yeah.
Literally nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was weird to see.
Her story was ended, I guess.
Yeah. Charlie really did end her story.
Yeah.
What a bastard. We had a repeat of Laura whispers to Dale, whispers something in his ear. We'll never know maybe what that is.
Maybe in another 25 years.
Yeah.
We'll know.
We'll find out. And then, she flies away That's exactly the same. And yeah, that reminds a bit of a link to what happens in the forest with them as well. They're walking along in the forest, and she gets like flown up into the sky. We also had a repeat of the Leland scene. He says, "Find Laura." But this time, instead of being tricked like he originally was, this time Dale exits the Black Lodge safely.
Yeah.
And pops out at the entrance of the Black Lodge, like we saw in season 2. That spot where you see the like red curtains appear in the forest in Twin Peaks. But Diane is the only one waiting there.
Yeah.
So I guess I have to assume that in this universe, Dale never went to Twin Peaks to investigate Laura Palmer. He never met all these characters. He never met Harry or anyone. But he did maintain a relationship with Diane because they're both in the FBI. And somehow he ended up in the Black Lodge. We don't know why. So I guess we could say that things that happen in the Black Lodge have to happen, or they're not as, brittle as the real world, quotation marks, real world.
Yeah.
Where, you can change the past, you can change the future in the real world, but in the Black Lodge, things generally happen the same way every time.
Yeah.
So he had to, he was destined to be in the Black Lodge, and he was destined to exit it. But this time he didn't have to deal with the Doppelkoop getting in his way.
Yeah.
He just exited safely, didn't have to deal with being Dougie and all that stuff that we've seen through season 3. So I assume now he's in the universe where Laura just disappeared.
Yeah.
So there's still no Laura in this universe. He's driving along with Diane. They seem to be in love. They kiss. They're driving on the highway. They're exactly 430 miles away. So that's the 430,
Yep.
I suppose, reference to the fireman's message. And it seems to be the same place where Mr. C got in the car accident.
Yeah.
And spewed up all that gum and Bosia.
Yeah.
What were you going to say? Did you think it was another location? It looked like something else. Oh no, that was something else.
Yeah.
And there was the electric power lines there, and it seems like there's some kind of portal or something happening here.
Yeah.
And Dale says once we cross, it'll all be different. Like he's trying to convince Diane to cross some kind of line where now they'll be in a different world.
Yeah.
And
which I guess we can. It's basically, when they go through there, they cross into another dimension, basically.
Yeah, maybe
an alternate version of where they are.
Yeah.
And do you think that they know at that point that's where they're going?
I don't know. Yeah, it's really hard to tell if Dale actually knows what's going on now.
Yeah.
Or if he's as lost as we are. It's really hard to tell, but
either way.
Yeah.
They drive.
Yeah, and suddenly it's nighttime.
Yeah.
It's dark. And this is reminiscent of Mr. C scenes.
Yeah.
And I get the vibe throughout the rest of the episode, really, that we are seeing a bit of Mr. C here. And especially because there was no doppelganger situation. There was no split of Dale Cooper.
Yeah.
Maybe we are seeing a fusion of the two, because
there was definitely
both of them.
Yeah. It wasn't Dale Cooper and it wasn't Doppelkoop, but there was elements of both of them that ended up being Richard. That's what we'll call him.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't that his name in the letter when he woke up the next morning? And as in this
maybe
dimension. I don't know. The words that I guess that we're going to use in this are just going to be totally all over the place.
Yeah, dimension, universe.
But trying to
timeline,
put some stamp on it. But
well,
I took it as they crossed into this new dimension.
Yeah.
Where Cooper was going to try to make things right.
Yeah.
And then things changed. And he turned into a mixture of.
Well, yeah, that's the question. Was he like that before they crossed? It seemed like he was acting fairly serious before that. He wasn't being fully like Dale Cooper. He wasn't being like coffee
true.
Dale Cooper. And let's just keep going because I feel like I need to explain a little bit more.
Yeah.
They drive, they go to the motel. It seems to be the same motel I was saying that Mr. C stays with Daria.
Yeah.
And shoots her, and then the next room over is where Chantel was staying. It looks like the same place. Dale gets out of the car, goes, pays for the room, and Diane's left in the car, and she sees another Diane. And maybe, this whole scene we're seeing now, when they're arriving at the motel and stuff, maybe they're still at the point of crossing over, like they haven't quite crossed over.
Yeah,
and that's why we see two Dianes, one from the like original universe and one from this new one.
That makes a lot of sense.
And yes, Dale comes back out. Diane, the other Diane, seems to disappear. They both go into the motel room. There's kind of an awkward she turns the lights on, he tells her to turn them off, and the fact that he's like ordering her around also makes me feel like he's not Dale. Like if he was real Dale, he'd just be like, I don't know, looking in the mirror and like doing stretches or something. But like he's like, come over here. And then they have sex. And it's pretty intense.
Well, I mean, it was about 3 minutes in length. And it was very uncomfortable to watch. And it increasingly got more uncomfortable for Diane. But it seemed to stay the entire time. We got a blank-faced Cooper. looking at her.
Especially contrasting with Dougie. Dougie's sex scene with Janie E, which interestingly was in the same like sort of position with Janie E on top. But we saw Dougie's like just euphoric face. But with this one, Dale just had no expression. Pretty Mr. C like.
To which Diane increasingly covered his face with her hands and just began crying. Maybe reminiscing, like as in having the memories flood back of her experience with the doppelkoop that came and
it did take me back to that scene where she explains the rape that Mr. C raped her. The whole scene sort of felt like it was like a dream version of that, or like a distant memory version of that. It was pretty weird. And the way she was covering his face, I was saying, reminds me sort of how we as the viewers feel, which has been a pretty common theme in this whole season, of giving us scenes and performances that remind us of how we feel watching the show. Because it felt like she was imagining the Dale Cooper she wanted, which is the real Dale Cooper. And so she wasn't even looking at this Dale Cooper. She was covering his face and trying to imagine what it would be like to be with the real Dale Cooper and be with, it's almost like, how we want to sort of imagine how this show would actually end in our like fantasy world, basically.
Which we got the real Dale Cooper for an episode and a half.
We got a taste of that.
Yeah, we got a taste.
And Diane did as well. She for it seemed some points had her real Dale, but now he seems to be gone. And it's this fusion of evil and good is left over.
Also, do you have any idea of how, like, why Diane was at the entrance of the Black Lodge in Twin Peaks in the first place? That's what I was thinking, because this world had no Laura Palmer or anything. Maybe he knew more about the Black Lodge. There was just unseen backstory of why she was there.
So she probably was like, she probably knew that he had to do it, just like Philip Jeffries. And others. Chet Desmond sort of like went missing. And maybe she knew that this is when he was going to come back, like 25 years later. She knew like to wait for him there because that's just what happens. I don't know. She got information from some source that's how long it would take. But the sex scene ends and Dale wakes up the next morning and I'm not exactly sure what his real reaction was to this letter. So he picks up the letter. It seems like a breakup letter. Linda is breaking up with Richard. But I don't know if that means that he is Richard.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what I took from it. Like I took that it was like in this dimension, he's Richard and she's Linda, and they were in that crossover period. You know what I mean? It's like the morning was when they're definitely in that reality. Before when they were approaching the 430 miles was when they were in the original dimension.
Yeah.
And then everything between was like this weird wishy-washy crossover.
Yeah.
Their characters warping.
Yeah.
And then now Dale's, well, yeah.
Gone.
Yeah. I don't really know.
The way I saw it was that he didn't recognize Richard or Linda.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And that, like, to me, that was why in episode 1 the fireman gives him the clue, Richard and Linda.
Remember,
to make him remember that this new world that he's in is not real, or that he has a job to do in this new world.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, he leaves the motel room. It's clearly a different motel. It has 2 stories now.
Yeah, it's not the number 7 anymore. It's yeah.
It looks totally different. He gets into a different car as well. He's in his like black FBI car. Diane is nowhere to be seen. He's in Odessa.
Yeah,
Odessa,
interesting
Texas.
shot too. Before we get him going out onto the road.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, obviously we get this shot as he's driving out and the camera pans over. We see a tree with no leaves on it and a stumpy top next to a lamplight that's got a circular top, and it definitely looks like the elements of the new man from another place, the tree.
The evolution of the arm.
Yeah, the evolution of the arm. And I mean, it even feels like from the room, if you were standing where Dale Cooper was well, we'll call him Dale.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're standing where he was standing when he exited the room, it looks like those two would line up and look exactly like the evolution of the arm, which makes me think that in this new dimension, this new place, all these elements that are in the real world, otherworldly, black logi, white logi, all this stuff is existent in this place as well, but in a different form or in different, I don't know.
It's like watching over.
Yeah.
Yeah, making sure things happen the way they're supposed to.
Yeah. Anyway, he gets on the road.
Yep. He's in Odessa, Texas. Drives past Judy's coffee shop. For some reason stops there. It doesn't seem like that's like his mission. Like, it seems like he just like comes across it and he's like, oh, I'll go there.
Yeah.
And obviously Judy is a reference to Judy. So maybe it's more of just him being like intuitive and him thinking like, yeah, that's where I should stop because that's what I recognize from another universe. Goes inside, grabs a coffee, but he's not in the same way, not his typical Dale Cooper way. He's just sort of like
we get a lot of the super coop, like
Super coop.
the doppel coop.
Yeah.
Fight scene. He.
Oh yeah. Yeah. These 2 guys start hassling three guys start hassling a waitress. He breaks it up and pretty much takes him out quite easily. It seems like, which is more Mr. C stuff of just like blank face. He can just take people down, like swipe their guns away, and like boom, he wins.
What do you think led him to ask the waitress if there was another waitress that worked there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, do you think could it be that he's used to the? I was gonna say because he's used to the other version of himself is used to the double R.
Yeah.
Where there's 2 main waitresses. You know what I mean? Like for what he remembered, even though there was more. But we only saw I don't know.
Well, I think this all it makes it more seem like this is just a dream, and that he's just following his intuition and just like sort of like floating through the world.
Yeah, it almost increasingly feels like going back to that whole those Chinese that Reddit post that you read out earlier of explanation being the main villain.
Yeah,
it almost feels like that whole what kills a good dream is explanation. Because I mean, when you wake up and tell someone about a crazy dream that you had that's awesome, it never makes sense, and you just go with it.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's obvious, but
it makes sense.
It makes sense. Yeah.
So he takes out these guys, grabs their guns, chucks them in the the boiler.
Yeah.
The deep fryer.
And gets the address for the other waitress.
And this was a very slow paced scene, and a lot of this episode is very slow paced.
Yeah.
Like we're just sort of whipping through it, but there was a lot of this feeling of you're wasting your time, And the whole episode was like, we could just be getting through so much more closure and like, let's go back to Twin Peaks and do more stuff there.
Yeah.
But it just slowly just plodded through this weird world.
Yeah, it was the total opposite of what a series or season finale is usually.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Comparing
usually.
to Game of Thrones.
Yeah, Game of Thrones, even Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
all of the great shows. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like all of the successful commercial shows.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Which build up and pay off in the final episode, and it just didn't seem like a payoff in the traditional sense.
Yeah.
Maybe in the Lynchian sense.
yeah, for sure. Anyway, he leaves and he goes to the address that he's been given.
Yep. Which seems to be Laura Palmer's house, because Laura Palmer answers the door, or Cheryl Lee.
yeah,
Also, we should mention before he goes into the house, the electrical pole, the number 6,
Yep.
is right there. More references to just basically evil being nearby, evil being present in that world and controlling it.
yep,
And it's a woman called Carrie Page. Cheryl Lee claiming to be Carrie Page. And it was just so many moments in this final half of the episode where I wanted different things to be said. Like, I wanted her to say, "I'm Laura Palmer," for one thing.
yeah. It was almost like everything that you wanted to be said wasn't said. Like literally everything.
Yeah, expectation was just shut down every single time. Interestingly, the first thing she says is, "Did you find him?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I guess could.
Ooh.
What? Billy?
No, Bobby. Wait. Firewalk with me.
Okay.
Bobby kills someone,
Yeah.
and we don't know what he does with the body. Maybe he just leaves it there. The next day is when she gets murdered, right? Or like
Yeah.
quite soon afterwards.
Yeah.
So maybe, okay, I'm just going to say now, this world we're in right now with Carrie Page is the dream of Laura Palmer.
Okay.
The night that she has the big dream. The night that she's supposed to die. So in the traditional story of Twin Peaks, I think she dies that night. She's out with Jock Renault and gets killed. And then, the next morning, everyone's like, "Where's Laura?" But now that things have changed, there's this new world where everything's good. And Laura actually just like stays home that night and doesn't meet up with Jock. And the next morning, her mother calls out and she's there. She is there.
Okay. And we'll go back to the calling out thing because that comes in at the end.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
So this world of Odessa, Texas is a big dream. Mm-hmm. And so maybe did you find him? She's getting a knock on the door from the FBI. She's thinking like, holy crap, Bobby killed this dude. Now I'm going to get in trouble because they found the body. They found him.
Which would kind of explain why there's all of these weird elements of, for example, the horse on her.
The white horse.
Yeah, the white horse in the living room. The man who's been shot in the head just sitting on the couch.
Actually, it'd be good to check if Bobby shot that guy in the head.
Oh, in Firewalk with Me. He did shoot him in the head.
He did?
Yeah, it was the back of the head though. But I mean, it's still, it's still a headshot. Yeah.
Yeah, could be the same guy.
Yeah.
But Dale doesn't make any reference to it. And Carrie doesn't seem to
really care.
No.
Yeah.
At all. He tells her we're going to go head for Washington, Washington State, where Twin Peaks is.
Yep.
And so she packs her bags. And they head over there. They drive.
And for about 300 minutes.
There's a long scene in the car.
Where your mind's going to who's following them. And it's no one.
Yep.
And Carrie Page starts talking about stuff.
Yeah.
And the conversation doesn't build.
Yeah. And there's one scene, one line that Laura says in this, which makes me think more it's a dream. She says something like, I'm in my youth, I was so naive. But basically along the lines of like, I'm smarter now that I'm older, but back when I was young, I was really stupid. Or I didn't understand. So in her dream, she's old and she feels like she's grown up, but really she's still like the 17-year-old drug addict in real life. But they stop for gas. long shot of them like just stopping for gas. Okay, they're back in Twin Peaks. Seems like things are going in the right direction.
Yeah, they pass the Double R diner, but no
Yeah.
one's there. It's late at night. She doesn't recognize anything.
Yeah. They stop at the Palmer house, go up to the door, and yeah, this as they're going up to the door, there was like a still, which was used as a promo like way before the season even started. And yeah, now I actually recognize these shots as being from this scene, and it is weird that they used this scene as promo, even though in the promo shots you couldn't see Laura there standing next to him. You could just see Dale.
It's still kind of weird.
Yeah. It's an odd choice.
Yeah. So they're approaching the door of the Palmer house.
Yep.
They knock on the door, and we're just wanting answers.
Yeah, I think at this point I was pretty disillusioned and just like cynical. Like I was just like yeah, I wasn't that tense because I knew it was gonna be
Something.
a disruption of some kind.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was.
We get a random lady who apparently is the real life owner of the house.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, can't confirm or deny that, but apparently that's floating around the internet.
Yep.
But yeah, she answers.
Yep. And her name is Alice Tremond. Tremond. And she says that the previous person who owned the house was Mrs. Chalfont.
Yes.
Which are familiar names from Twin Peaks, which also lends more credence to the fact that it's Laura's dream because both of those names were people that Laura knew.
Yeah. It was the Meals on Wheels.
Yeah.
The elderly lady that Meals on Wheels.
Yeah. Which, Laura Palmer worked for the Meals on Wheels back in the day. This woman does not recognize the name Sarah Palmer or the name Palmer at all.
Yeah, we just get a long conversation of questions being thrown around and no answers that we want to hear being given.
Also, Dale says the title of the episode, "What is your name?" He says it at another point in this episode. He says it twice, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, he says it here. Or he says it to Laura earlier. She says Carrie Page.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much they get nothing from that woman.
Yeah.
They walk back down to the road.
Okay. And this is where it gets pretty crazy. Like, it just feels crazy at this point.
It feels like something has to happen. Anything.
It feels slow. It almost feels like the way that Dale walks forward feels like Dougie Coop in a way, because he holds out his finger and kind of slowly
he's confused.
Trods along.
Yeah. He's trying to figure stuff out as much as we are. It seems like he's failed at this point. Yeah. But he's still trying to figure it out. And his last ditch effort to try and figure things out is, what year is this? He asks.
Was the scream before? Was the scream before or after he asks that? It was after. Yeah, because that's it. It ends on the scream.
Yeah. So we hear, what year is this? And then I think we hear the distant Sarah Palmer calling Laura.
All the house lights go out.
Yeah, in the Laura household. Electricity just
turns to black.
Yeah, as Laura's screaming.
Yeah. And I mean, oh man. I mean, I guess looking at it from the point of view of like it was Laura's dream the night that she didn't die. She was meant to die, but she didn't. Yeah. That lends itself to that. I mean, it's almost like it was a nightmarish dream. It kind of ended in this nightmarish scene, and she's screaming as her mum calls out to her to wake her up that morning, like she does in the very first episode, but she's not there. Yeah.
So I'm reminded of Donnie Darko. Actually, you've seen that. Yeah. Basically, in Donnie Darko, there's a time loop, similar to what's going on here, and that image of Donnie Darko waking up in bed, and it's all been a dream kind of thing. Yeah. That it seems like that would be the next shot. Would be Laura waking up in bed, and it's like everything's fine, and going along the theory that Laura was sent down by the fireman as like this being of pure goodness and golden goodness. If she were to stick around in Twin Peaks and not die or disappear, then she'd probably be able to overcome the evil of Leland, Bob, and Sarah, Judy. Yeah. Bob and Judy, she'd be able to stay and combat that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, if we go by that theory, that's how it ends. Laura Palmer wakes up. Like, I guess the good has won. Like, is it a happy ending? Maybe you have to really think about it and like make a stretch. But it's like, okay, maybe a happy ending. Maybe.
And also, what I still don't understand. Then, what was meant in part 17 when they're standing, the last shot in the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
When Cooper says, what's the line again? It's like, we're all part of a dream.
Yeah. We are in a dream.
Yeah.
So,
and isn't it, it's the overlapped face, isn't it, that says it? Is it the overlapped face? Like the transparent face?
We'll have to watch it again. I'm definitely probably going to watch this again because there's so much packed in. I actually can't remember.
Yeah. But oh man, I mean, yeah, and then we get the blackness for a while.
Oh yeah,
and then we get the whispering in the ear.
Yeah, and then starring Kyle MacLachlan.
Yeah.
I was totally thinking, when it cut to black, I was like, oh, there's going to be more. There's going to be another just crazy psychedelic scene, and then it'll end. But that was the end.
Yeah, and I mean, I get reading all of that back now, going over it again, it feels again like an epilogue. You know what I mean? Because it kind of does feel in a way like, I don't know.
I think it is the perfect David Lynch way to end it though, because I'm thinking of Mulholland Drive and Lost Highway as well. In Lost Highway, we have, I don't think you've watched the whole way through.
No.
Basically, about half-ish way through, the main character pretty much transforms into a different person, and then we're suddenly in this other world, other storyline, and it's like, how is this even connected to the original?
Yeah.
Pretty much the same thing happens here.
Yeah.
Mulholland Drive as well, of like,
Yeah.
there being like, suddenly we're in another world, and everything's different, and like, there's no closure. Like, I want to see that original world come to an end, but it doesn't. It just like transforms.
I mean, going back to the Judy, the explanation being the main villain.
Yeah.
It all, I don't know, at this point, this whole series, especially guided by these last 2 episodes, is just this big ball of information in my mind that is all loosely fitting together.
Yeah.
But it's just every second I think about it, a few more connections are made.
Yeah.
But it all is just infinitely swimming around.
Yeah.
Making different connections.
Yeah.
And I mean, no Audrey as well. There was just so many things. I mean, it was kind of like when we were watching it and we were saying, like, I mean, there are so many loose ends to this storyline that we didn't see, but they weren't that important into the overall storyline, you know? We didn't see what was
Becky?
Yeah, we didn't see Becky and
Steven.
Yeah. We didn't see Audrey, who seems seminal to the plot, but I mean, I guess realistically,
maybe we did see Audrey in some sense.
Yeah, and I guess up until early of season 2, she didn't directly impact the main plot that much, you know.
Yeah.
But there was lots of things, but at the same time, they weren't super important to the overall story. So maybe we didn't need to, because I mean, there was things like, who's Billy? Was Billy the drunk in the cell? And if so, what was the point? What did it mean? Why did Audrey want to find Billy? What was their connection?
Yeah.
There's so many things.
The thing I keep coming back to is this. I can't quote it exactly, but this idea from David Lynch. He once said he likes beginnings and middles. He doesn't necessarily like to wrap things up. He likes mysteries. So it's like that's why I think he was probably drawn to television writing and directing.
Yeah.
Is because it was ongoing. He could keep making new
middles.
New beginnings and new middles without many endings.
Well, because I really, you know that I have a huge bias towards horror movies. Yeah. And just anything to do with horror. And I mean, I feel like 95% of horror movies are a bunch of good beginnings and good middles with just terrible endings. And I mean, like, I can see that.
Yeah.
It was a it was a great beginning and middle. It was a great ending too, if it is the end. But I mean, it's just it's completely the polar opposite of what any commercial finale is.
Would be, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine if a different director had taken this, taken this project on, it wouldn't have worked.
It's crazy to
Wouldn't have
me
been the
that
same
it's crazy to
vision.
me that Showtime was
Yeah.
gave this the big thumbs up.
Yeah, they read that script and were like, yep, sure. Here's $1 million or how much you need.
$1 billion.
Here's another Reddit post, which maybe we can end on this
Okay.
by username dangerously_safer. Theory: there are 5 universes, 3 of which are created in season 3, episode 18, the finale. This is a really long post, so I'll post it in the description of this podcast, but I won't read all of it. I'll just read the main 5 universes that this person thinks are in the series. So number 1 is the first real world in which Laura Palmer is killed. Dale Cooper comes to Twin Peaks. The universe of the first season and at least most of the second season. So it's pretty much the familiar universe that we're aware of. Universe 2, an amalgam world, so I guess a mixture world, of the real world, meaning Universe 1, like the world we understand, and Audrey's dream world connected by the roadhouse. Characters walk in and out of the dream world as a connected entity via the roadhouse. So I guess that's just bringing in all Audrey stuff, which seems to be, it doesn't seem to be connected very closely to what everything else that's going on. So I guess that's just their way of saying, okay, there's the Audrey stuff. That's one universe. Number 3 is the brief existence of the world in which Dale Cooper saves Laura Palmer, which is then destroyed.
Okay.
So they think that there's another universe where he's leading her through the forest, and that's like stable for like a second, and then that's just brief, and then she's taken away. Number 4 is the new real world in which Laura Palmer disappears instead of dying, which we see in only 3 scenes: the road after the day-night switch, the motel, and the scene where Pete fishes.
Okay.
I'm assuming they just mean the first motel as opposed to the second one the day after.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's not much appearance of that world. So yeah, I guess that's the world where after she gets sucked up into the sky, then she's disappeared. Then all that stuff happens. And then the last one, the new dream world in which Laura is trapped in Odessa, Texas as a different person. So I think, I guess the one thing I disagree with is that Universe 3, which the world in which Dale Cooper saves Laura Palmer, is not is existent. And we see the existence of that at the end of the episode when Sarah calls Laura and she wakes up out of this dream, out of this number 5 universe.
Okay.
So I don't know if I necessarily agree with this whole theory.
It's an interesting way to map it out, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm totally lost, I think, at this point with this. And it's definitely going to take a few rewatches and a bunch of reading into everyone's thoughts.
Yeah. Oh, also the final dossier is coming out.
Yeah.
I've already pre-ordered it. It's written by Mark Frost. It's sort of a sequel to The Secret History of Twin Peaks, which is a dossier-style novel. So maybe the final dossier will give us some closure.
Maybe.
I doubt it, but it's possible.
A few last thoughts before wrapping up.
Yeah.
Do you think there's going to be any more Twin Peaks? A movie, season 4?
Well, apparently they liked doing this. From what I've heard, this is an overwhelming response that David Lynch and Mark Frost and all the actors, this was a great experience, and it felt.
It feels
good.
like it would have been.
Yeah. So that makes me think, why wouldn't they do it again if they had the chance? And I think this show is getting decent ratings.
Yeah, I think so.
If you count all the streaming and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy that a show like this has been received, even generally well.
Yeah.
For a Showtime show. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have to call it, yes, I know.
What?
If you have to call it yes or no, is
Yes.
there going to be more? Is there going to be more film, not books or?
If I had to call it, I'd say no.
Okay.
But anything can happen.
Yeah, it did feel again like David Lynch brought together his A team for a final, a final stand.
Yeah, and nothing he's ever done before really has had closure. So it's like, why should we expect it from this? It seems like we should expect this to be the end.
Yeah. Are we ever going to know what Laura said to Cooper?
Oh, maybe he'll say it on his deathbed.
Yeah, maybe this time. Maybe David Lynch thought that because they made us reveal it too soon last time, he's just not going to reveal it at all this time.
Maybe.
Yeah, but what year is this? Anyway.
Well, okay. Before we sign off, I guess we should say thanks to just Reddit in general. I feel,
yeah,
because we've mentioned a few posts, and it seems like going on Reddit after watching an episode is just a really good way of like focusing ideas and pretty much stealing other theories. But it's
a bit of a general directional compass for watching and piecing together this.
Without reading the Reddit, I'd be so lost.
Yeah.
Without the Twin Peaks subreddit. So
yeah.
And there's been so many posts recently, especially now that it's ending, of people pretty much professing their love for the Twin Peaks subreddit, saying like, thank you for this. This has been such a special forum for me. Like, yeah, and it was, because it feels like people got to the bottom of things quite well.
Yeah.
On the subreddit, on the post-episode discussions especially.
For sure.
Yeah.
And on that subreddit, on September 10th at 3 p.m. Pacific time, Sabrina Sutherland, the executive producer, is going to be doing an AMA on there. So, I mean, maybe there's going to be some answers for certain questions, or maybe she'll be incredibly
secretive,
transparent. I don't know.
What if every question is just like, what did Laura Palmer say, and she just has to be like, sorry, I can't divulge that. Like every answer is sorry, I can't divulge that.
It could go that way. Who knows?
Well,
but yeah, who knows? We might even have to make another podcast on Twin Peaks if we just get a huge splurge of new information.
Yeah.
But let us know in the comments on YouTube or SoundCloud.
Yeah.
If what you think of our interpretations.
Yeah.
What are your interpretations? What do you think happened at all? What does it all mean?
Yeah.
We have no idea.
And just subscribe for future content, not necessarily Twin Peaks, but other stuff.
Yeah, we got a bunch of Damn Good Coffee podcast ideas lined up for loads of things. Yeah. Entertainment shows, movies, other stuff, whatever.
Special guests.
And a bunch of video content coming your way. So
it's exciting.
Yeah, good times.
All right, well, we're going to have some coffee. And thanks for listening to the Damn Good Coffee podcast.